inside the Supreme Court. You heard all of the arguments. The Democrat-appointed justices, they were in the minority, 4 of them. The Republican-appointed justices, the majority. That's why there was a 5-4 decision.
You know, Chief Justice Roberts would say, no, that's not why there was a 5-4 decision. It was because we decided it on the law and the Constitution. But face it, that's how it broke down. And you had 5 people endorsing Donald Trump's travel ban. And even though woven throughout the opinion and Chief Justice John Roberts' statements from the bench were essentially, we're not really with him, they were with him. The chief brought up some examples of what the president had said as candidate, and then afterward, once he was sworn in, and he said, you know, we're not turning our back on those. The chief wanted to signal that the court was not turning its back on those statements, but he was saying those statements don't matter in the larger scheme of things. Now, Justice Sotomayor, who you just referred to, she's an appointee of Barack Obama's, she said those statements matter. Those statements show what the government was really trying to do with a Muslim ban, and to turn away from religious liberty and endorse this executive order really turns away from the nation's promise of religious liberty. And as I'm sure you've heard all morning, Wolf, she likened it to the decision in Korematsu in 1944 when the Supreme Court endorsed a government order taking thousands of Japanese Americans and putting them in camps.
Yeah, that was a very, very strong statement. This was the 3rd version of this travel ban, Shan, as you well know, and it considerably changed from what the president originally said. We have the clip of what he originally said as a candidate back in 2015 about a ban on Muslims coming to the United States. Listen to this.
We're going to win it. We're going to win it. We're going to apply common sense. We're going to apply intelligence. And we're never quitting, and we're never going away, and we're never, ever giving up. The best way to keep foreign terrorists, or as some people would say in certain instances, radical Islamic terrorists from attacking our country is to stop them from entering our country in the first place.
That's what he said as president of the United States. But earlier, he had said he wanted a complete travel ban, a complete ban on all Muslims coming into the United States. And then also as a candidate, as president, by the way, on the 5th of June, 2017, he said in a tweet, the Justice Department should have stayed with the original travel ban, not the watered-down, politically correct version they submitted to the Supreme Court. If they would have stayed with the original one, the Supreme Court wouldn't have said it was constitutional.
That's exactly right, Wolf. I think it took them three times its charm for them, to undo the kind of damage that he did for that legislative effort. I mean, I think Justice Sotomayor's reaction is the reaction of most Americans, that there's clearly anti-Muslim bias here, but the court focused on a couple of key points. First, they emphasized the neutrality of this version's language, and of course, the big difference here is that they expanded the list of countries to include some non-Muslim countries. And also, I think in 2.0 version of the ban, they'd also remove some of the language that clearly favored non-Muslims over Muslims in their refugee status. So a lot of changes have been made in order for the court to be able to uphold this.
And the Chief Justice John Roberts stressed the worldwide review, stressed the hand of the Secretary of the Homeland Security, again, to say, it's not exactly what Donald Trump wanted, it's what the administration wanted, and it was vetted. I think you're exactly right.
So what's the broad message the Supreme Court has now sent as far as the president's powers involving immigration?
Well, I think they have really doubled down on that being one of his core powers in immigration. And I think one thing that bodes some troubling views of the future is that the president feels quite emboldened by this.
That's exactly right. I think that, Supreme Courts historically have given presidents wide latitude in this area. And that's why there was a lot of precedent that the challenges were up against. But what the challenges were saying is that this is actually different. This is different what Donald Trump has done. And for the Supreme Court to say, no, it's actually not different. And to say that his executive order was actually more comprehensive than orders that Presidents Reagan and Presidents Carter had done in the past was significant to these 5 justices in the majority.
Yeah, a very significant decision by the United States Supreme Court. Guys, thank you very much. Let's get some more reaction. Joining us